What if you could access the part of yourself that holds all of the answers? You can. We're welcoming back one of our spectacular Seeking Center regulars, Lizzi Cutler, to talk about Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, QHHT for short. But this is the Lizzi-fied version of it. With QHHT, you are able to have a much clearer understanding of why things are the way they are in your life and to ultimately create change within yourself. The other part of QHHT that makes it even more powerful is that you can actually heal aspects of yourself. And there's even more about QHHT, like time travel is possible at any time, or it becomes a place to relive your past life. We're going to unpack all of it with Lizzi. Lizzi helps you get unstuck and overcome whatever is holding you back. She designs a customized path for each client to change the way they respond to mental and physical stress. Lizzi has now integrated this technique into her offerings and, of course, put her own unique healing touch on it. Karen and I both experienced QHHT with Lizzi, and whoa, we can't stop talking about it. If you're in need of healing or to answer your why, we know you'll want to consider it. There is so much to discuss. Let's get going. Hi, Lizzi.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for having me back.
You have not only been talking about this, but we've been thinking about this. And this is the thing that's so powerful about what you do. It becomes like this imprint in your mind that stays with you. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. So let's go over what QHHT is and then how you've modified it for now.
Okay. So the basics behind it is that QHHT achieves the deepest level of hypnosis possible, the somnambulistic level of trance. And so it's a state that's ordinarily experienced only 2 times a day. It's just before we become awake and just before falling asleep. And as a lot of us that have very vivid dreams know, for me, my dreams right before I wake up are usually the craziest and the most impactful, or at least they feel like they leave the biggest imprint. A lot of hypnotists don't work in that level, either because they don't have the ability to access that level of trance, or they're wary of working in that very mysterious level of hypnosis, which can produce unexpected results, such as reliving a past life. So this was all created by Dolores Cannon, and she began her research of sacred knowledge and reincarnation nearly 50 years ago by fine-tuning this QHHT method that she came up with. She created a really safe and effective method that bypasses all of the chatter of the conscious mind that we're usually dealing with, and she focuses solely on obtaining unlimited information in that somnambulistic state. So Dolores Cannon discovered time travel is possible at any time or place, and then allows us to relive or at least observe past lives. And the whole message here is that it's such a powerful tool to access that all-knowing part of ourselves that has been called the highest self. It's what I usually talk to when we're having our conversations. It's what I call the highest self. It's the oversoul. The soul itself essentially comes in and communicates with us. So we know that when we incarnate in Earth, we forget most of our previous lives, and our connection to our other souls and source is lost in the background. It's something that we might hear whispering, but we can't necessarily feel it. And this QHHT technique enables all people from any background, any culture, any religion, any belief system to engage with what she calls the subconscious. So Dolores refers to what we would call the higher self as the subconscious because it resides beyond the conscious mind. And Dolores's term, the subconscious, she later abbreviates in her sessions to the SC. So if you listen to her book, she calls it the SC, is that greater part of ourselves that's always connected to source or God, whatever you want to call it, and has unlimited knowledge and an unlimited ability to heal the physical body. And sometimes some of the mental and physical ailments are rooted in trauma from past lives. Sometimes they're connected to lessons being learned in a person's present lifetime based on creating balance from what happened in a past life. So as the SC reveals the cause, it also assists according to the soul's particular lessons.
Can I also point out SC Seeking Center?
Oh, I just got that. Wow. Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there.
The one thing I just want to highlight that you just said that I didn't realize until this moment is the whole idea of time travel. I never thought of a past life regression as time travel. I thought of it always as retrieving the memory of the experience. But now that you've put it in that way, in the experience that I had, and I'm sure Robyn has too, it puts a whole new perspective on it. It's not just a memory. You're literally being transported back to that experience.
And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but Karen, as you go back and re-listen to the recording from our session with that in mind, that time travel aspect in mind, watch it open up. The recording keeps working. This is what's so cool about this work. So you'll hear it in a different way now.
I love that.
Yeah. And I will just point out that we've talked about time travel before, in the sense that anytime you can get yourself into a place, like let's say even in this life, where you are thinking about yourself as a child, and you can very much feel and see and all those things when we're trying to get in touch with some of our memories from this lifetime, it can all be considered time travel in some way.
Yeah.
For the sake of everybody listening, I also just want to point out when we're talking about time travel, it is a human concept to put a marker on time and space. We created the idea of time and space in order to orient ourselves and allow us to be more organized. But we're the only ones that talk about time and space, right? Like your animals don't think about time and space. They are present in the now. And so it's that concept that everything is happening at once, which can send you down a very trippy place. So I get that. If you're listening and you just want to skip over that, we can dive into that with you another time. But that's what we're talking about with time travel.
I love that you pointed that out. I think that's so key. And yes, it could then lead to all the parallel lives that we're living at the same time.
Right.
Definitely.
Which we love to talk about, but we don't have to focus on that now.
Yeah, we can get into the weeds on that. But for the sake of just somebody listening, I don't think that we necessarily need to be a hardcore believer in parallel lives and time travel and astral travel or any of that. You don't have to know any of that for this.
And the other thing that I do want to point out is that there are other techniques that can get you in somewhat of a similar place, and they may be called something different, like life between lives. And there are other ways of achieving something similar. I just want to point that out because we've talked to other practitioners who practice somewhat similar regression technique. But number one, this is a very specific technique created by Dolores Cannon. And then again, which we pointed out in the intro, is that you also, as I like to say, Lizzi-fy it. So we want to just make that clear, because you may have heard of something similar. And we're going to talk about this in a second, which is past life regression in general. And how does it differ, and how does it also overlap?
Yeah.
But first, do we want to talk about hypnosis? Because I think sometimes hypnosis scares people.
Yeah.
100%, as it probably should. It can be intimidating. I know when I was first doing this, the reason that I even picked up this training, someone suggested it to me. I listened to a couple books on it. I was intrigued. And then I somehow was on the mailing list, as we get bombarded. And I saw a sale for the training last winter over holidays. It was like a holiday sale. And then I got the sale again for spring. And I was not bored, but I was feeling a little stagnant. And I randomly did it thinking I would do it for friends as just a cool thing to do. And then in listening to the training and then practicing it, I understood then how it worked in my work. But when I've had these hypnosis done to me, and I've done sessions like this from other facilitators, I have always felt I'm making it up. I'm still present in the room. I haven't lost control of myself. The practitioner, first of all, you absolutely must make sure you're going to someone you trust. But even if I didn't trust and she was telling me to do something that I didn't feel comfortable doing, I've always had the wherewithal to still be present in the room of what's happening. So it's not like I've ever gone completely where I'm going to do something crazy. And I would love to hear your experience of that too, how you felt when we were in that hypnosis state.
I'd also like to just point out that the way that I think of this compared to, which I've also experienced, somebody in quotes putting me under hypnosis with following an object, I've actually experienced that and it has not worked for me. And this is very different, because to what you were just talking about, Lizzi, in that scenario, it was a different state. And I saw other of my friends being put under hypnosis where you didn't have control. And so that's why I really want to stress this is very different. You have complete control. And if you need to get out of it, you can. You can open your eyes and you know where you are, even though you have different things going on. It's almost like layers of your consciousness, and you can feel them, you can see them, and you can get out of that. In my case, I knew when I was ready to come out of it, and I was able to open my eyes and say something to Lizzi, even though I was still very much in this very deep state. It's almost like a very deep state of meditation.
Yeah. So I will say I've had clients, Karen had to get up and open the door for her dog. I've had clients get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of it. They've sat up and had water. This isn't the kind of thing where you are out of your mind. It's almost like that feeling when you're so relaxed that you're watching TV, but you don't even really recognize what you just watched, or when you're reading a book, but you didn't really read the page. So it's literally what we're getting you into is the brainwave right before you fall asleep. And it allows the thinking mind to be shushed a little bit or quieted so that we can access that other point. But again, you have full faculty over yourself.
I also want to add the Lizzi-fied version, because I've been through different versions of this, is fun. That surprised me. The way you got me into that state of relaxation. It wasn't like you were counting and you felt like this, there was a methodical, I'm going down the stairs or I'm going in the elevator, which is a technique to get people in that space. But the way you did it was freeing and flying, and I just can still, like, every morning when I wake up, I picture myself on that cloud just riding high, and how free and in the sun I felt. And that was my bridge, because it takes the fear away, because then you're just on this ride. And
it's not so intimidating. And the one thing that I will say, and I'm getting a little bit off topic, but I want to say this in the beginning too, is the first thing that I say to any client that's about to go in is we're just going to spend some time together. And if nothing happens, nothing happens, and who cares? We'll figure it out later. But let's take all of the pressure off of this. Because when I was first doing it, I was afraid nothing was going to come through. What if I can't do it? What if I don't go deep enough? And really the whole point of this is I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to listen to what I'm saying. And then you're going to tell me whatever comes into your mind's eye. As if I said, see a blue truck. You just saw a blue truck in your head, right? Or see a pink elephant. You see a pink elephant. That's where we're working. It's that easy. And I haven't had anyone not be able to access information, even though most of us say, I feel like I'm making this up. And the response is then make it up and we'll figure it out later.
That's really key. And I think also going back to what Karen was saying, where she felt free, it's because you feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
You make us feel safe, and it's not anything scary, to your point. It's take the pressure off, whatever you see, and know that you actually do have control. So let's talk about the past life regression part of this and how that plays into it, and talking to your higher self.
Okay. So again, for those of you who are newer to this world, this woo, part of what I think I've enjoyed bringing to the magic of this is that I'm bridging the gap between, are we really going to talk about having past lives? And for the sake of the conversation and the sake of what we're doing, we're going to assume, yes, we have past lives. And we know that there are kids that are 2 years old that remember how to play piano and have memories of different languages that they shouldn't know. And we know this to be a fact in this world. So again, just go with us on this ride that let's assume that past lives are real. It makes sense. And that your soul is overseeing and creating balance to all these different lifetimes that we get to live out and create and experience. And the whole reason that we're here in the human body is to experience the abundance of being in the 3D, the seeing and tasting and touching and experiencing and feeling. And it's something that we don't have when we are back in our soul self. From what I've seen and experienced, when we're back in our soul self, it is love and only love. It is unconditional, universal, infinite love, period, the end, which is magical and overwhelming and incredible. And there is no duality. So what we get to experience in this 3D human zip-up suit is duality. So when we get to see our past lives, it helps make sense of, why am I triggered by this thing in this lifetime? Or why do I have this phobia? Or why is my body responding in this way? Why do I have this allergy? Why do I have asthma? Why do I get these headaches? Why is my stomach such a mess? Why do my knees hurt? Whatever the physical response is, it's because your soul is trying to create balance based on what's happened in this lifetime and in past. And so that's the magic of this work, is that we can only remember what we can remember here, right? I can barely remember my childhood, let alone what happened in past lives, of course. And so it allows us a little window to what happened in the past, which then impacts us in the now.
Right. And I'm sure every session with every client is very different. But I will say that what I find and what we've discussed and with my own experiences is that it's this combination of past lives that are shown to you in this very 3D way in your mind. So it's a real movie that you're in and you can be in that feeling of it. In addition to then also having a conversation with your soul after you're shown whatever past life or lives on purpose. And every time you do this, it will most likely be different. And you may be shown different lives, and you also may be shown the same life, but a different window in that life. So I just want to put that out there, because then it is also having a conversation with your soul after you see or feel it, so you can understand the why.
Yeah, I'm going to actually throw out there the breakdown of how a session works, like how it.
That's a great idea.
So it starts with, I send you, like for Robyn and Karen, I sent you guys a list of questions. And the questions are, is there anything physical that you would like to know about your body? Do your knees hurt? Does your stomach hurt? Do you have bad eyes? Is there anything about your physical body that you would changed? Is there anything about your emotional state that you want answers to, or anything you want to release, anything you want to draw in, any resentment you want to let go of, any relationship issues that you're having that you would like to ease? So moms, partners, parent stuff, kid stuff. Is there anything that you're struggling with that you would like to see changed or shifted? And also, is there anything you want to draw in? So are there scarcity issues coming up with money? Are there questions about your career? Where should I be going? And then anything spiritual. So who is God? What is my purpose? Why am I here? How can I be a better parent to my kid? How can I be a better daughter to my parent? How can I live fully with what I came here to experience? How do I not miss the moment in this lifetime? I'm literally talking about, I asked, why do I get sinus headaches and can you fix them? All the way to what's my soul purpose and everything in between. I think my initial list was like 35 to 40 questions.
Holy
and I
crap.
asked my clients, oh, I asked a lot. I know, that's why Robyn, you asked me like 5 things. I'm like, hold on, what? So you make the list and I ask you to go to partners and friends who know you the best. So like your work wife, your best friends, your siblings, your parents, and say, what do you hear me complaining about? Because that's what we want on the list. And sometimes we're so used to it that we forget. So I ask you to work on the list for a few days and then send it to me a day or two before your session. Then I'm going to meditate on that list. I'm going to sit with it, and potentially, but most likely, I'm getting information as I'm reading the list. And then our session starts by us hopping on Zoom. I want to be able to see your face and your upper body. So you can be on a laptop, on a phone, whatever, just propped up so I can see from like the waist up. And you're laying down super comfy as if you're going to read a book and go to bed. And we're going to go through your questions. And I'm going to get as many details about the question so I know exactly what information you're looking for. And then we take a breather. Everybody goes and pees, has a sip of water. And then it's called the induction. And this is what I follow from Dolores word for word. She literally gives us a script of how to get you into that hypnosis state. And I'm watching you the whole time. So I have eyes on you. And typically Dolores, her training was from 2013 and she passed in 2014. And her rule was it has to be in person, but she didn't know about Zoom. So we've modernized this a little bit, but I am watching you. I've got my eyes, on your breath, on your body. I'm with you. And then I take you in, and we usually see between 3 to 4 past lifetimes. And again, first going in, I'll say, remember, just tell me everything that you see. And it's as if you're explaining a dream to me, or as if you watched a movie and you're explaining the movie to me. And that's how we're talking. You have your normal voice. You have all of your faculties. You can itch a scratch if you feel it. Like everything is basically normal. You're just laying on your bed or your couch and I'm asking you questions. And then once I know that's complete, then I take you where we call in your subconscious or your higher self. And that's who starts talking. And you guys, that is the part that is, excuse me, fucking wild. Unbelievable. The information that comes through, how it comes through. Sometimes people are speaking in third person. Sometimes they're still in first person. Karen's voice changed. Her inflection changed. Her entire cadence of speaking changed. Robyn, yours did too. Sometimes it gets deeper. I'm basically going through your entire list then, even though most of your questions were answered based on the past lives that they showed us. So most of the information already came through. And so I'm sitting there watching this movie play out like a kid with popcorn and candy. Holy shit, this is so crazy. Oh my God, this is so cool. And I'm asking questions to dig out more and more info to make sure we're getting you where you need to go. And guys, interrupt me. I'm just like rambling because it's so exciting to me. There are moments in past lives where I had a client who she's a physical therapist. She knows a lot about the body. She's been a physical therapist for a long time. And she kept saying, I have this thing on the left side of my rib that doesn't go away. It's in my left rib cage. There's this pain there. No matter what I do, I can't relieve it. And in this past life, she's going through and we go to the day of her death and we're witnessing it. She doesn't have to experience it. So you don't physically feel these things, you witness them.
Right.
Emotions can clear, like I have cried and it's felt emotional, but my body isn't experiencing any of it. And we saw her get stabbed. And I kept asking, where were you stabbed? She's like, in the left side of my chest. I'm like, okay, as an observer, can you see how this pain is still sitting with you today? And then we leave it there. So that's where I bring out some of my energy work and some of my gifts and make sure it's cleared and left in that past lifetime instead of traveling through to this lifetime, because that's a lot of what's happening. So I am all in on Western medicine, and I'm not saying that there's no place for it. I'm just saying asthma, headaches, sinus issues, gut issues, random pains, back issues. If you start listening to Dolores's books, she has healed some big mama physical ailments using this technique. So we can work some master magic. And then the way that I bring you out is we slowly bring you out. Once I know that either the majority or all of your questions have been answered, then we bring you out and you wake up feeling like you just slept for 20 minutes and have no idea that 2 or 3 hours just went by.
What else I think is so beautiful about the way the experience unfolds is that you guide someone through those experiences, and little by little you start to let go of your control of the situation. I remember when I first landed in the past life, I was like, what am I doing here? And I immediately wanted to second guess it because it didn't make sense where I was, but you just encouraged me to just keep going through it. And the more I did, it was like, oh yes, that's what that means. And so by the time you get to the soul questions, you're so much more relaxed in the confidence that what you're really experiencing is real and valid.
Yeah, Karen, in your session, you actually were laughing, like a nervous laughter when we first went into the first life. You were pulled in 2 directions. You saw 2 different things and chose to go one direction. We ended up going back to the other one as well. But there was that initial trepidation of, I'm for sure making this up. This doesn't make any sense. And what I always say is, okay, let it not make sense. Who gives a shit? Just tell me every detail that you see. Paint the picture for me. And who cares if it doesn't make sense? We'll get to the next one. And I think that's important to recognize, is that you can't do this wrong. You can't mess it up.
I also want to point out, when we did it that one day, I was really tired. In the future, when we do this again, I'm going to make sure that I'm more rested because my soul was really tired. I was so excited, but I was so tired. And I think you do need to have some energy.
Yeah. I've also had clients do it in the middle of their workday, the end of their workday. It still works. Also, to be fair, Robyn, in your session, you went directly to the meat. You really jumped off the cliff. You got a lot of information in a really short amount of time. And then Robyn's subconscious actually said to us, Robyn's tired. We're done. You can end the session now. And Robyn opened her eyes and I was like, okay, hi. This is really fucking wild. The information that we just got, that's incredible. Now, Robyn, close your eyes. Let me take you out the full way. Even though you were so present and so aware, you just knew you were done and you were done.
Yeah,
I just went through the full, like, bringing you out part because I was nervous and I wanted to make sure you were okay. But when you are done getting the information that you need to receive that day, this is genuinely about trusting that the right information is coming through in the right way at the right time and letting go of expectation.
I would just say the other thing is that surprised me is I did have energy afterwards. It's not a draining experience at all. You're under for almost 2 hours, right? So you would think with all of that experience and all of that deep resonance that you're going through, you would be exhausted. And I think the opposite was true for me. In fact, I didn't get a chance to tell you this, but for me, time slowed down. I was observing much more. I was still a bit in that state of looking, listening for anything that still needed to be said or understood from the experience. So I think it does do something to you energetically, not depleting you of energy, but almost just getting your whole body to just slow down and be present.
I'd be interested to know for you, Karen, what healing took place in your session, because I will say since your session, your energy has been completely different. And there's just a clear difference from before and after that has lasted. And so I'm curious so to your point of that, the day felt longer, I feel like that's also because somehow you've become more grounded and more present since the session. So I'd be curious. I want to hear more about what happened in your session.
My questions were really at a soul level. So it wasn't about the physical so much. It was really about what am I doing what I'm here to do? If I'm not doing it, can you please tell me what it is? So I don't have any regrets that I didn't know it or didn't recognize it while I was here. And then there was a lot of specific things about what to do. And I got all those answers. They weren't given to me as to-dos. It was as if my soul recognized me in a different way again. Now I'm operating on a soul level versus a human level. I'm feeling like my soul is driving versus me physically trying to drive myself. I have a resonance, a calm knowingness that I didn't have before. I know what to do. I know that I've always known, and I'm letting my soul speak and be heard in a way that I haven't before. And that it permeates my whole entire body in a different way. It permeates my conscious as well as my subconscious in a totally different way. And it has slowed me down. I don't feel as energetically frazzled, like I'm trying to find the answers to everything. I just know that they're there and that it will all unfold. And I have that knowing that it will. It's a calm freedom that I haven't had before.
So Karen, can you just nod that I can share some of your experience of what it was like to witness your experience?
Yeah, it's all.
There were moments, and Karen's session brought me to tears. Watching Karen fully realign with her soul self and experience the truth of, and I know that for those of you listening, that this can sound cliche and cheesy and whatever, I get it. I am the cynic. I understand. And I watched Karen fall in love with herself again. And I watched this woman come back to life, and with awe and surprise and delight, I watched Karen, this is who I am. Oh my gosh, this is who I am. This is what I am. I am allowed to love me. I am allowed to experience abundance here. Oh my gosh. And the awe and the delight and the coming home. I literally said to you at one point, welcome home, because I saw you get plugged back in. It was, first of all, such an honor to watch and so wild to watch that moments before you stood up and let your dog in and brought your dog up on the bed with you because she was crying. And then you instantly went right back in and had this full moment of, oh, I'm allowed to go home and I don't have to be so hard on myself. And it is all working out for me. And I am creating impact. And these are my steps forward. And you were given marching orders in a certain way, right? You were definitely told you can keep going in this direction. And if you do, this will be the result. And if you go this way, this will be the result. So you were given very clear, still in choice, but very clear, choose your own adventure. But if you choose that one, it's on you. And this is how it ends. And to watch the light turn back on, even in it, you kept saying to me, Lizzi, this is so unbelievable. And there was a moment in it where this is not the QHHT version. This is, I guess, the Lizzi-fied part of it, where there were moments that come up in certain sessions and not in others. And I'm just open to whatever it is unfolding. But there was a moment in Karen's where something was clearly stuck. There was like a ball of density that was on you. And I said, okay, can they clear it? Can your subconscious clear it? Can the powers that be clear it? And there was a silence or a stuckness. And I heard in my head, you do it. And so I asked out loud, Karen, can you please ask if I'm allowed to help here? And the answer was yes. And so I went in and did my energy work that I do in the group alignments and in a one-on-one alignment where I moved it off. And as soon as I finished moving it, Karen said, oh my God, that feels so much better for doing that. And I was like, first of all, from an insecure 3D part of me, I went into, holy shit, the work is really working. And just the delight of being a reflection reflection of Karen helping Karen, right? If I don't exist and I am just a reflection of Karen helping Karen, it's you helping you, Karen. It was you were the one who chose to do the session. You were the one who chose to go to that place. You chose, and this might sound wild, Karen was in communication with Jesus.
I want to hear.
In between lives, communicating with, laughing about it. Lizzi, this is ridiculous. It's Jesus. I'm like, okay, ask what he has to say.
What did Jesus have to say?
Yeah, I did have that exact reaction because I've heard other people see Jesus and yeah, okay. Not my symbol necessarily, but it was clear when I went through, he was literally sitting there and I couldn't even see who it was. I just saw the halo and then the whole body came and it was the crucifixion version of Jesus that had the crown of thorns kind of thing going on. I'm like, what is this about? And you don't have to suffer.
Oh, Karen, that's amazing.
That for you guys.
Would that be more symbolic for you to hear? And I mean, from Jesus?
While Karen's hearing it, first of all, before she recognized it was Jesus, you were hearing a song and you said it's the blah, blah, blah song. And I thought I was raised in temple. I don't know the song. But they gave you a song that you would recognize. What was the song?
So anybody who knows Godspell will know this song. It's called You Are the Light of the World. And I kept hearing that over and over again. And he's, you are the light of the world. Let your light shine. You. And there's no word.
I'm going to cry. Now I'm going to cry.
I was crying. And as this is going on,
Feel that because you can feel it.
I'm hearing in my head, she needs to step into love, get to love, push her to love. And so I'm asking questions that based on what I'm hearing, and I know her questions from her list. So I'm asking questions like, if you're not here to suffer, ask him what you're here for, knowing the answer is going to be love. And that was when you started feeling the love come in. And you had already seen a life where you experienced it.
Oh, yeah. And that was so interesting because the two lives I had couldn't have been more different.
What were the lives? Because we have, just so everyone watching or listening knows, Karen and I usually talk about everything, but she purposely didn't so that we could share it here.
Oh, good.
So can you tell me?
I love it when Robyn's part of it usually because she remembers more than I do.
By the way, you guys, I almost called Robyn on my phone while I was working on Karen to say, just be silent. You have to hear this shit.
That's hilarious.
That is. So the first life was, like I said, just like the Jesus thing. Weird. Like I landed, what Lizzi had said was look down at the ground. And I looked at the ground and I was standing in a field with that looked like it was burnt out crops. Like I felt like it was in the land of black and white. I knew I was in the Midwest. It felt like Dust Bowl time. And as I looked around, I knew I was young. I was like maybe 15 years old. I was a boy. I knew I hadn't eaten in a while. I knew I was completely alone. And as I looked I saw a house that looked like it had been run through by a tornado. And so I knew that, and I was never happy in that house. The whole environment was very sad and very gray and very scary because I knew there was a chance I was not going to make it. I remember saying to Lizzi, I was a little scared because she wanted me to go forward to the next part of my life. And I was afraid I wasn't going to see anything. I did though. And I was all of a sudden in this magical forest and I was in front of this that had this, and this is going to sound a little weird, but like this little very tiny man that was almost animal-like, but he was so fun and clever. I was just very upbeat and again reminded me I was taking everything too seriously and that I should drink out of this well and that I needed to nourish and replenish myself from within. And so I did that. And then I went to the next part of my life and I was all of a sudden in a house very similar to the one that had broken down in front of me in that prior time with an incredible family. And I was the father and I had a beautiful wife and I had the napkin around my chin and I had this huge buffet of bounty, including family and children. And then that last phase of my life, I was like in a shop and I was working in my son's shop. And it was a very simple life. But I told Lizzi, I think it was the happiest one I had ever had because I had followed just love. It just was my only thing. It was very simple and just replenished my soul from that younger self that had nothing and was alone and felt like it wasn't going to make it to end up at the end of my life feeling so enriched and fulfilled. It was wonderful. And then the next life was completely different. It was the life that Lizzi had said that I started to go towards first. And it was on a tiny little remote island in the middle of this beautiful ocean. It felt a little bit like that Tom Hanks movie, though, in a way. Like I was marooned on this island really by myself, but by choice. I had a little canoe there, a little lean-to. I was very happy to be alone on this island. And the magic of it literally was the fact that I could communicate with the wind and the sun and the sea. We literally had a relationship. And I was almost, it was like being of this earth, but not of this earth, of really being able to lean into a lifetime where I wasn't in the 3D world. I wasn't connected to anything materialistic. I had no cares. I just really was embracing this in between existence of being human, but almost being magically spiritual at the same time and feeling what that was like. What were
You
gonna
had
say?
said in there, I wrote this down. You had said in there, I did it. I lived at the highest possible frequency between human and spirit. I got there. There was no barrier between the human and the spirit. Like you were one with the animals. The fish would offer themselves to you to feed you. And it was a gracious exchange as you would eat them. It was that you kept saying, this is the essence. I have to hold the essence. And this is the DNA of who we are. That's when I was crying. It was incredible.
It's really powerful. And again, for those listening who might think it sounds really strange, I can literally go back to both of those lifetimes and see it viscerally, experience it. Like the water that I drank, I can taste it. Like there is no mistaking the real reality of these experiences. And I go back to the time jumping for just a moment, because I think that's what you are doing, because you are so present in those experiences. And if you find something, it's not in a scary way. It's just you're really experiencing the meaning of that lifetime.
And when we say, I know it sounds strange, it is strange because our culture has made it strange.
Yes.
It's only because we have not been conditioned that this is the norm. It doesn't mean it's not. But the three of us can all acknowledge this sounds wild. It sounds out of left field and it helps. And so if we are looking for a way to move forward physically and spiritually and emotionally, and you're feeling stuck and traditional therapy or traditional forms of aid aren't helping, why not try something new? And for those of you who are less used to this kind of stuff, we get it. And
Yeah.
at the point, you got to throw the Hail Mary of screw it. These other things aren't working. It's worth a shot.
And in these cases, in this case, that's not even where some people, it's very helpful for them to, let's say, try plant medicine. You're not taking anything. And again, as we said, you are in control. So if you get uncomfortable for whatever reason, you can get out of it. And that hasn't happened.
I have to say out loud, I have done pretty much every plant medicine that's out there. And I've done more than once. And where Robyn got when you went to your second lifetime.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Karen got when you were in that in between, and then when you were in the place in between. So your second and third journeys was where I got after, I can't tell you how many plant medicine experiences. So I've probably done 30 to 40 ayahuasca journeys, 2 journeys with 5-MeO Toad, and Toad got me there right away. But for those that aren't ready to do something so extreme and so big, this got each of you there in your first go, and you got up to pee in the middle.
I have not done plant medicine. And I know we talk about it with you and with other trusted resources. It doesn't call to me in that way. That's why we do what we do. That's why this is Seeking Center, because it's a seeking center and your seeking center. And because different things call for different people. And this speaks to me. And to me is as visceral as if what I would imagine some of these plant medicine journeys can be.
I remember after I did my first Toad journey, I called both of you like freaking out that I had finally experienced what it felt like to feel connected to source and to experience it and be there. And Robyn kept saying, that's how I felt when I did I forgot what it was. It was with Tony.
Hypnotherapy with Tony Vanderwell. Yeah.
And part of me was pissed. There was a party that was like, I was just on the floor writhing. It was the most incredible experience of my life, both of my Toad journeys. But I was like, there's no way that you experienced what I experienced. And then I got into ego and I really was checking myself. And I was like, why isn't it okay that Robyn got there in her way and you got there in your way? And it took me like 10 minutes to recognize like, no, I love Robyn, and the more people that get there, the better. But there was a part of me that was like, wait, that's not fair.
But I think it really does speak to what calls you, right?
Well, yeah. And then I witnessed it, right? Then I was the facilitator holding space, watching you. And I was like, oh shit, she really did go there.
To the point where both in that experience with Tony and my experience with you, I think about it will make me want to cry now because there is that feeling of pure love. I didn't want to come back. I did in both times in those experiences, I have to tell everybody I didn't want to come back because Earth School is fucking hard. And we chose this, and I know that, and I know we're in it to feel all the emotions, including love. But the pure oneness and love that I have felt in these experiences can only be described as something to achieve on a very soul level.
And Robyn, can you speak to, and then Karen, I would love to hear your answer on this as well, how it has stayed with you because of that feeling of not wanting to come back. And I felt that too after Toad, not wanting it to go away, not like desperately grasping to hold on to it. How has it felt for you carrying it in your life? At the end, I'm asking when your subconscious is in that space with us, because I'm focused on what we can do to keep the good stuff moving forward. I'm consistently asking, what's a tangible, actionable thing that this person can do to carry this with them? So each of you got homework essentially of what does your daily practice need to look like?
Yes.
What will be the most impactful? What can she leave behind? Is there food she needs to be eating? Are there prayers she needs to be saying? Is there a practice? And every person that I've seen gets something different. So maybe you want to share what you were told to do.
Sure. Let me share my second life, which I think threw both Lizzi and I completely by surprise. I was actually on another planet. I was definitely not a human. I can picture and feel what that felt like and what it looks like now. And that was me apparently in the Palladian star system. So you talked to Jesus and I went to the Palladian star system and I was able to understand who I was there and why I'm here now and what my soul is here to do for humanity. And we all have these very important roles. I want to express that to everyone listening. We are all here with such specific purpose and we all have these lives. We all have them. Now, I was not expecting to be on another planet. I didn't know the name of the planet. I knew that I was just within this star system. I knew that I was considered a Palladian and I had never really looked into that, but now I have. So
I remember saying to you before we started, because I had a feeling you were not going to channel from this planet. And so before we went in, I said, Robyn, and I say this to everybody now, if you see human feet, human feet. If you see an animal, you see an animal. If you see something else, you see something else. Just whatever it is, say it, because let's just all acknowledge and honor. We only know a very tiny sliver of what's happening here. So when I was walking in, I was like, she's going to go somewhere wild. And that was why I said it to you, because I didn't want you questioning it. I wanted to give you the get out of jail free card before we even started.
that's why doing this with Lizzi is doing it with Lizzi, because she has this knowing, right? And so I was not in human form. And on this human conscious level, it was weird, but it wasn't weird. I wasn't totally weirded out by it at all. And I could feel that pure oneness and that pure love in a way that I don't feel that on a daily basis when I wake up. And I was also given, as you said, a very tangible way to connect into it every single day. And so I connected to it every day, multiple times a day. And now I'm super interested in anything that I can find that feels credible about Palladians and what does that mean? And I had been told that a long time ago in another session with an energy practitioner, but I hadn't seen it or felt it myself. And so it's hard to know what's real.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This was very real. And I think then it's the coming back to that soul level after you experience these lives and then getting those other questions answered.
So just to give everybody a little context here, I've had people go into animal body. I had one client who was part of an elephant herd and got a lot of her questions answered in this elephant lifetime. I've had people be what we think of as mythical characters like gnomes and mermaids. Karen experienced one lifetime where she was like in the in-between space, in between lives. So nothing's off limits. So it's truly about, if you're seeing a cartoon, tell me about the cartoon. That's the space that we go into and we'll figure it out as it opens up.
Yeah. And in that Palladian lifetime, I was a priestess in that lifetime. And so I specifically have this certain knowledge that is meant to be brought into this lifetime to help others connect to themselves, reconnect with their souls. That is literally part of why I am here. And then you're given real specific instruction in that after when you are talking to your soul about how to do it, what to focus on.
You were getting information on Seeking Center.
Correct. I mean,
like business info, like business coaching
info, like here is what you need to focus on. And here is how to do it. And the validity of using my voice. They told me my voice has frequency and that it's important to use my voice in all of these ways to attract the other people. And they said, I will not have to go seek it out. People will seek us out because of the frequency of our voice, of the voice. That is how we will attract the right people to bring Seeking Center to more people.
I love that.
I want to hear more about you.
And I just want to add to that, though, just something that came to me, though. It's also the frequency of you, what I see in you and the way you connect with people and how that attraction comes from the you within. Yes, it's important to use the amplification of voice. That is the communication we understand. But I think what I feel is that's part of the message too, is that there is this essence of you that people see and want to know more and feel safe because of the way you ask the questions and the way you seek and explore.
Thank you.
You're the narrator. You're our voice. You're the one that's like poking and prodding in the why do I need this? And who is this good for? And why should I do this? Like you've done the background where if Robyn says to me, you should call this person, I'm always like, right? Sometimes I'm excited about it. Sometimes it's begrudgingly, but I know she's already sussed it out.
I want to hear a little bit more about Karen. Okay, so you're a man, then you talk to Jesus. What else?
No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal.
Okay, so in my notes, you had the Dust Bowl, then you went to the island, then you were in the in-between place, and there was a long convo with Jesus. And then you went to the potential of who you could be in this life.
Oh,
And that was like,
tell me, I want to know the potential.
this is where Karen was given a lot of specific instruction. That little sprite-like Forrest character came back. And I asked him, are you with her always or just in that lifetime? And he said, no, I'm always here. And it's part of what I think makes Karen so youthful and so fun and so accessible and so lighthearted, right? Like that sort of playful spirit that she has is this guy. And we asked his name and his name was Ronald. And I said, you're always there to talk to her, aren't you? And he said, yeah. And she's always here to drink the water. She just needs to drink. She was getting direct info on stop nourishing with you're doing caffeine all day and then numbing yourself at night. Start backing off of that, like specific info. Start backing off of that. Nature will restore your essence. Get your butt out in nature and drink from the well. So literally in your mind's eye, go drink from the well and you won't need the caffeine all day and you won't need to numb yourself at night because you're so tired. Drink from the well and you'll have more of an energy. So that was your specific info. And then your soul came in and we got one of the first things was, first of all, your voice changed. Her whole cadence, she started speaking like this and she was told disregard should. It's a sign of fear. It's like a signal of red flashing light of like you're in fear. And then you were getting a lot of how to get back into the light and how to get back into that place of love. And then we talked a lot about like choices and daily practices. And I just want the listeners to know there's a part at the end where I ask whoever's is the client I say your name. Okay, Karen, if you want to work in this way again, you can give me 2 words that are going to serve as a keyword. And then when we go back in, we can go in faster. You'll go in even deeper. And it's like a shortcut to get us there. Robyn and Karen had the same words. And I'm not going to say what they were because first of all, their jaws just dropped. It was wild. It was wild. So I say to people, you can come up with words. If you can't think of anything, I'll think of words for you.
That's crazy.
And it can be something wild like pink elephant, right? It could be something totally weird. And you two came up with the same words.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like, when Karen first said it, I wasn't sure if it was exactly right. And then I went back, I'm like, of course, these two.
That is awesome.
You're saying that in like that hypnotic state. So it's nuts.
Yeah.
And what I loved about
That's amazing.
it is, and again, for those listening, I feel like there's so many caveats, but it is so real. And when I started talking from my soul, it just flowed. I did feel like everything was slowing down, like now how I'm feeling in this resonance of everything being slow and calm. So I feel like I said before, like my soul is much more present in my daily life. life. It slowed down time that afternoon. And I think it's made me much more peaceful. I also want to share, there was that visual that you gave in the very beginning that got me really into that place, that comfort zone of really being able to go into past life, which you did, where you put ourselves on the cloud and you had us sort of wrap in cloud and just feel that comfort and that snuggly safety, warmth of being there. Every morning, it's one of the first things I do is I see my face. I see myself almost riding that cloud like a wave on the ocean. When you're reboarding, like I am riding that. And
That was what your soul told you to do, by the way. That was part of your homework, was to visualize the cloud and be the light as you leave behind the fear.
So it's in there. It's for me. It changed me. There's no doubt. It is. And in a way that is easy. And I think I said to you, I wish I could do this every day. Imagine if you could really make this almost part of your daily practice of giving yourself maybe not 2 hours, but even just taking a moment of that time and inviting that part of yourself back in and getting into that flow of just that feeling, like do what you said before, Lizzi, of being able to say to myself, wow, I really love this girl. I do.
I actually do that every day. And part of the way I visualize it, and I don't know if this helps you at all, but one of the visuals that I create for myself is I hug my little self. I hug myself from yesterday. I hug myself from now every single day, because we need to love ourselves just as we love our animals and our children and our friends and our family. And so it may not be on that same exact level as when you're in that state, but do it. And I also wanted to say, from a healing perspective, which I know you brought up, that physical part, I can't remember at what point of my session it was, but there was something where I was having, I think you asked me if I was having any pain somewhere. Yes. And I was. And I could actually feel both Lizzi and whatever else was around me feel it. Like I could feel it being healed. And I haven't had that pain since. So I don't think in my case, we knew exactly where it came from. It was something that was stuck from somewhere. But my point is, you can feel it. You can actually feel the work being done. So I would love to know how you're integrating this into your overall offerings now.
So the way I've been working it is, normally I start somebody with an energy alignment, which is where I'm clearing you and I'm channeling what's going on, where things are stuck and how they're stuck. And then if we decide to work together deeper, I ask people to commit to 6 sessions. And that's where I've pulled this work in. So normally it's 6 energy editing sessions where I'm showing you how to change that stuckness. And what I realized was the edits are perfect for what happened in this lifetime. So the edits are really impactful based on what we learned as children in this life. So between the ages of 5 and 6 to 9 and 10 is when we're taking in a lot of that program. But if it happened in a past life, I wasn't accessing that stuff in the way that I was working. And so now I'm bringing this in as a session with all of my current clients, and also opening it up where if someone wants to just do one of these sessions, you certainly can. I see it as more impactful doing the full Monty, but it's a way to get to the deeper root cause of issues that aren't necessarily created in this lifetime. So they're impacting you now, but they're not created in the now. So clearing them out, you can't really get to the root of it because you can't remember it.
That's right.
I also want to say the edits, they are actual work that you're doing on your present lifetime. And what I felt in this experience, this was effortless. Like it just unfolded. So it was just a lovely balance. Like doing both is so beneficial. But I felt like for anybody listening about this experience, if they even want to just try this, just so that they can see the feeling that it gives them, it's pretty impactful.
Yeah. And I will say it is easy. Like you're going to get to lay back and chill.
It is.
Which is what an alignment is too. You get to just lay back and chill, but this is way more impactful and longer lasting than what I can do alone in an alignment.
And the in quotes work in this is really comes before, because it really, you have to set that intention and just do a little bit of thinking about where you want to explore, what you need answered.
Yeah. I've also noticed some clients come with a really short list of questions. Some people come with 3 to 4 pages of questions. And however you show up, your soul knows what you're actually asking. So it's helpful to me to have all of the info, but we don't need it.
Yeah.
Your soul knows what's up. And there are moments in there where I say, can you scan her body and let us know if there's anything else that you know is out of alignment that she might not recognize yet? Or is there anything that you want her to know about how to optimize her physical health or her emotional out, is there any resentment that she's holding on to that she's actually ready to let go of that she might not be aware of? So we're still working beyond just your conscious thinking. The questions are helpful in, I know I'm going to do my very best to not let us wrap that session until I have those questions for you. Everything else is gravy.
Oh my goodness. I can't stop now thinking about the feeling and the images and the result of this work.
I feel so grateful to Dolores Cannon, first and foremost, and her team who has continued her work on since her death. And she really set any practitioner who does her training, she set us up for success. And then it was when I was in meditation and I was working, and actually I hired someone to do one of these sessions with me. And I asked in it, can I do these my own way? And got a very clear, of course you can, do your thing. So I feel really honored and so lucky to get to witness these sessions. They are just wild.
And I love that you made them your own too.
Yeah, I used the people that I know and trust as my guinea pigs just to make sure it was going to be okay. So thanks for that.
Oh,
So welcome.
such a gift, Lizzi. Really, like, I am so grateful for this. And I know that anybody who experiences it with you will also just some of those images, even just to live with those, that the cloud and the light, those things, they do change you. And that's the work we're trying to do.
I just want to, one of the texts that you sent. So after our session, Karen, I texted to check in and I just said, checking in, how are you? And you said, I am so good. And then later that night, you said, I'm so happy. I just finished sharing my experience with my son and his friend. I just feel so good. This is the most peace I have felt in a long time.
And it's lasted.
Of all people, for Karen to say this is the most peace I felt in a long time. I was actually at a dinner with friends at that point, and I was like, I want to cry and I don't want to explain to anybody why. So I'm just going to tuck this away. But oh my gosh, this is so good.
The impact that you're having. So
Yes. Thank you, Lizzi. Thank you for
you guys.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to your soul and to your guidance to learn how to do this. And then we're so grateful to be the guinea pigs. Yeah. Thank you for offering this to so many people as an option for them to really get back on track with why they're here and heal.
Yeah, it's really my honor.
That's raising the vibration everywhere.
That's the goal. Make it accessible, make it work.
So thank you.
My pleasure. And I just wanted to, we added a little discount code for Seeking audience. So just use the code Seeking when you're checking out for 20% off.
Thank you, Lizzi. And you can find out all about this offering as well as all of Lizzi's other offerings at lizzicutler.com. And that's LIZZICUTLER.com. You can follow her on Instagram at Lizzi Cutler. And you can find lots of Lizzi on youtube.com/@the-seeking-center. So that's youtube.com/@the-seeking-center. We have our Getting Unstuck series. So you can see how these edits work. You can try them and you can see all of our other episodes that we've done with Lizzi as well. So thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Thanks for having me. And thanks everyone for listening. I'm around to answer any questions. Just ping me on Instagram.